Hey, what's up everyone? Foxhounder N313 here from Dorks Like Us, and probably noticed the look of the video is a little bit different. I'm holding a Vita and I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 2. Now this isn't a Let's Play. I'm not going to play through the whole game like this. My camera won't even focus in on the screen on this thing. As you can see, the blurriness of the text and the numbers and all of that. But I want to show you guys something because I thought this was interesting and I thought it was worth pointing out. I believe that this version of the game of Metal Gear Solid, the HD collection, which on the Vita is Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, it doesn't include Peace Walker, which, depending on who you ask, is no big loss. You can get Peace Walker on the PlayStation Network separately for $20, but this collection doesn't include it. Now, one of the things about the PS2 and PS3 version of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 is that they have a heavy reliance on pressure sensitivity, especially when it comes to aiming and shooting. The way it worked in those games, or in those versions of this game, as well as Metal Gear Solid 3, and everything I'm going to say applies to Metal Gear Solid 3 as well. But the way aiming and shooting worked in that game was that you would just barely press down, at least with an automatic weapon. Right now I've got the SOCOM equipped, so with an automatic weapon, you would press down square a little bit to ready the gun, and then press it all the way to fire it. And this was really, really unintuitive, because it was hard to get because if you were just trying to aim the gun, it was hard to get it just right without you spraying bullets all over the place. They addressed this with the Vita. The Vita does not have pressure sensitive buttons, so they had to work around this. And I think this probably also applies to the Xbox 360 version of this game as well, because I don't think that the 360 controller has pressure sensitive buttons, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Again, I can't speak for that one because I haven't played that version. But to ready the gun in this game, you press down on the D-pad, and you don't have to fire the gun until you're ready. And when you fire it, the gun goes down, you can bring it back up with the D-pad. If you want to lower it, you press the D-pad down on the D-pad again. This is a huge improvement over the original as well as the PS3 version, because you don't accidentally fire your weapon. And this is really handy for VR missions, or will be really handy for VR missions. I haven't actually gotten into them on this version of the game yet. I did complete them all on the PS3 version, I just haven't gotten around to this one yet. This will be very handy for VR missions where you have like target practice, or you have to shoot certain targets and try to hit them in a specific spot. And with the PS3 version, it was just really hard to do that because with the PS3 version especially, they really messed up the pressure sensitivity on that one. I don't know if it's just because of the difference of controllers, that the PS2 and PS3's DualShock controllers have different sensitivity levels. But you could just, for the life of me, I could never hit the square button just enough to ready the weapon without firing it. So again, huge improvement. Now this also applies to something else, grenades. So again, with the PS2, PS3 version, it was relied on like pressure sensitivity and like how hard you hit the button. Again, since this doesn't have pressure sensitive buttons, it has a workaround. So to throw a grenade a little bit, you just press square, throws it right next to his feet. And if you want to throw the grenade further away, you hold square for a little bit, for a few seconds. As you can see, it landed over there. Again, huge improvement, because with the PS2, PS3 versions, I never was able, it was so random, or it felt random. It felt like whenever I would hit it, I wouldn't hit it hard enough, and the grenades would always land near my feet. This isn't a huge problem for just the single player campaign of this, but with the VR missions, there are VR grenade missions. And again, that pressure sensitivity thing really makes it more difficult than it needs to be. I can assume they'll probably be a lot easier in this version of the game because of how they worked around it. I don't know why they didn't make it that way in the PS2 and PS3 versions of the HD collection, but it is what it is. So with that, I really think that this is the superior version of the HD collection. Now again, I think that probably applies to the 360 version in terms of the control aspect. But you also have the portability factor, which makes it nice. And I know some people say these games don't work well as portable titles, but each level section only lasts about 3 or 4 minutes. Even less than, probably less than that if you play these games a million times like I have, which is, again, anyone watching this video is probably going to be a hardcore Metal Gear fan who has played these games a million times and knows what they're doing. So if you're looking for the best version, I would say it's this one, because again, with the portability factor, and you're probably not going to marathon all the cutscenes or try to marathon all the cutscenes in one sitting anyway. And the Vita gets decent battery life, I think, for what it's, for what kind of power it's packing. The one drawback I guess I would say about this version is probably the touch controls. So, like for instance, to look around corners, you have to do that. But personally speaking, I never used this feature in the original version of the game, because popping out and shooting like this, and to pop out and shoot, you just press square. You don't have to swipe the screen or anything to do that. But if you want to peek around corners, that's what you have to do. But I never used this even in the original versions, because the time it takes him to kind of pop out from behind a corner is just too slow. So I never really found it to be that useful anyway. And if you want to stand on your toes, or if you want to go in first person mode and look to the left or right, you have to swipe the back touchpad and swipe both of your fingers down to sort of stand on your toes to look up above. I only ever found this feature really useful in Metal Gear Solid 3. In one particular section in the laboratory. I never really relied on it or used it that much, so it's not a big deal. And you can get used to it. It's not. It's a lot easier if you have a controller grip, which you can get for $3 or $4, but pretty. It's again, you can get used to it. But I would say that's the only drawback, especially if you're not big into touch controls. But that's the only things they use it for. Now with Metal Gear Solid 3, they use the touch controls for some of the CQC actions. And that can be kind of difficult in the beginning when you don't know how to do them or what motions you're supposed to make, but once you figure it out, it works. But again, all in all, I think the Vita version is the best one to go with. If you have the option, I don't think anyone's going to go out and buy a Vita for this game based on my recommendation. I don't know that I would recommend it just for this game. There are a lot of good games on the Vita, I think, but I don't know that I would recommend it just for this. But if you're a hardcore Metal Gear fan and you want to take these games on the go, and also if you have a PlayStation 3, you can, and I'll go out of the menu here, you can get, you can get the if you have a PS3, you can get the original Metal Gear Solid. You can't just download it directly from the PlayStation Vita store, which is unfortunate. I don't know why it's that way, but you can download it from the PS3 and play it on your Vita. Portable Ops is playable on the Vita now. They added that just a few months back. So I've already downloaded it. I've got it on a different memory card. Again, Peace Walker is on here on the PlayStation Network. So you can have almost the entire series minus Metal Gear Solid, of course, 4 and 5 on your Vita. So it's really nice to have basically the whole series on the go, which is really cool. So yeah, just throwing that out there. And yeah, that's an anime. That's Vita HK, or Yamada's First Time, as it's known as here in the States. I love me some fan service. But anyway, comment down below if you have any questions about this, about Metal Gear Solid, the HD collection on the Vita. And I'll do my best to answer them. And if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to us if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content from dorks like us. This is Fox Hunter N313 signing off. God bless.